Hello there. It's great to be with you this evening. My name is Glenn Holsten, and as you may notice, I have the same last name as the author of the book we're celebrating this evening. I'm really happy to be here with you to celebrate the launch of a new book by William Holsten. Avoid unintentional blunders that derail entrepreneurial success and goof-proof your business. Bill's going to join us soon, but I'd like to tell you a little bit about the author. William Holsten, as he likes to be known as an author, is an inventor. He's an entrepreneur. He's a corporate marketer. He's an innovation advocate. And he has over 38 years experience working in marketing, business development, and innovation at Bayer Consumer Health. Later on in his career at Bayer, he eventually moved to the consumer division's global R&D organization to design and lead innovation, ideation, and problem-solving workshops. In all, in that period of his life, in 13 years, he conducted more than 100 workshops in 10 countries, helping generate thousands of product ideas for Bayer's global brands. With his wife, Janet, on a side business, Bill developed a company called Whirlwinds, LLC, where he and Janet co-invented and promoted 5 carnival and party game brands through a family side business. Bill's retired from there. He retired in 2022, and he's joined the SCORE organization, where he now serves as a volunteer mentor to small businesses, entrepreneurs, and startups in Delaware. William and his wife, Janet, live in Middletown, Delaware. They have a terrific daughter, Maggie, and a fabulous son, Bill. And I'm happy now to introduce you to the author, William Holsten, or as I know him, Big Brother Bill. Hey, Bill.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much, Glenn, for the introduction. And thank you, everybody, for joining us here, 7 o'clock Eastern time, or whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. I'm very glad you're here. And let's go to a slide so I can show you what we're going to do. Within the next hour, before 8 o'clock Eastern time, we will have celebrated the book launch, mainly by me telling you about it and answering your question. I will take maybe 15 minutes to explain what it's about, who it's for, and what motivated its creation. Many of you have been in my book army and have read the book. Others are friends of Bill, friends of William, who have not yet read the book. So it should be interesting to all because I've tailored it that way. You will have questions. I'm happy to answer them for as much time as we have. And it's really exciting. We have fun and giveaways about the book, around the theme. You might enjoy those too. And lastly, and before we leave, I'm going to tell you, and it'll be on a slide, where to buy the paperback, hardcover, and ebook if you're interested. And please, those of you who have read the book, where to post your book review. That's really important for authors to see on Amazon, whatever the number of stars is. Numbers of reviews count. So thank you very much. But you might ask, oh, thank you, Glenn. I just put you off the screen. You might ask, why are we doing this on February 11th, at least in the East Coast, a snowy Tuesday night? Well, there is a reason. Today, February 11th, happens to be National Inventors Day, where across the country, I didn't make this up, this is from the calendar, we celebrate the genius behind design and some of the country's most amazing inventions. It's also National Don't Cry Over Spilled Milk Day. And it's all about having a good attitude, even though things can go wrong. Those come together in what I've written. This book, is written by an inventor whose inventions spilled a lot of milk, meaning I made a lot of mistakes, and who knows and shares a few creative ways to prevent milk spilling in the future. And it's for entrepreneurs, startups, small businesses, but by the way, everybody who's a mistake hater, who gets really annoyed when something goes wrong, when it's your fault. So before we get into what the book's about, let's have one of our drawings. I ask you now to go to the chat and type in hashtag just like you see on the bottom of the screen. While you're doing that, I will show you what the prizes are. And they'll change during the hour. The first prizes happen to be, we're going to have an autographed paperback copy of the book. I've got it here. I've got my pen ready. Or your choices, whoever wins gets the choice of that, or an autographed can of SpaghettiOs. Americans on this call will know the theme song is always "Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs," which has nothing to do with my book, but it's the same words. So let's spin the reel and see which of our guests right now will win their choice of prizes. I can hear the music now. Well, let's do that again because Bree doesn't count. She's our producer. Nice try, Bree. There we go. Julie, cotton up. I'm so happy, Julie, you're the first winner. We don't have time to go into much about Julie, but she's an author herself, and she runs her own business about twist. So cool. Congratulations, Julie. Please email me at the email there. I guess I just need your mailing address, Julie, and which prize, the signed book, I know you already have one, or the SpaghettiOs. Thanks. I'll continue. So what's this book about? Two things. A, mistakes, blunders, and failures. And B, how not to do A, so you have a better life and a more successful business. It's based on 4 corners of my life. Here I am in the top left at a trade show selling 3 of our Whirlwinds games. And if you read the book, you'll recognize Pitch Burst, Boom Blaster, and Downpour Derby there. And by the way, those are the good versions of each if you've read the book. It's also influenced, especially when I get into 10 tools to succeed, from my 10 years or more of workshop leadership in my corporate life. It's also based on my last couple of years when I've been mentoring each week a new startup business entrepreneur trying to succeed here in Delaware. And of course, it's based on my family. There's my wife, Janet, next to me on the right, and my son, Bill, and my daughter, Maggie, on the right, far right. They are my conscience most of the time. And through the game business time and my work business, they're always the people I love coming home to because of that relationship. So the book itself is in 5 parts. The first part does the academic background of failure. I read a lot of books about it. And then it sets up what is an uh-oh moment and why is it important. In part 2, it's a memoir really about my experience, our experience, our family's experience with the Whirlwinds business when things went right and when things went wrong. Part 3 is all about epic failure uh-ohs and blunders in the world out there. I'll explain those in a little while. We have some examples. Part 4 is my set of 10 tools to help avoid making those kind of mistakes. And part 5 realizes that despite tools, you still might have those days when something goes wrong. There's a survival kit, how to survive those things. Part 1, I'll spend just a couple of minutes talking about the academic side of failure and mistakes. James Reason wrote the book on human error, and he broke them in 3 ways. He says errors are when a plan itself is inadequate to achieve objectives. The strategy could have the wrong objectives, or the strategy be correct, and you have the wrong tactics to achieve it. That's when the errors happen. Slips and lapses are failures when you're trying to execute. They're unplanned, like the slip of a tongue. You wrote something wrong, you dropped something, or you forgot something. Those are lapses. These are caused by things like inattention, distraction, cell phones, fatigue, stress, emotions, or your ingrained habits. Mistakes are when a planned sequence of mental or physical activities fails to achieve what it set out to do. And that can be because of faulty assumptions, overconfidence, ignorance, and ineptitude, or you can have some kind of blind spot to it. These are not all as separate as they look here. They can happen in combinations and make things go wrong. Another expert, Harvard professor Amy Edmondson, wrote in her book that there is a spectrum of failure. On one side, there are praiseworthy failures, and on the other side, blameworthy. The praiseworthy ones are called intelligent failures, like trial and error experiments, like clinical trials where you try many solutions to get to the right one that works. Thomas Edison said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways it won't work. So the 10,000 we first did. On the opposite end is basic failures. These are the ones we're talking about as uh-ohs. They're the most easily understandable and the most preventable. In the middle, there are complex ones where cascading problems really pile on top of one another. And just a lot of times there's bad luck that makes things worse. This book focuses on that far left side. Uh-oh moments, calling them uh-ohs, is all about that moment of realization when it's you yourself and it's your fault and something's happened. You've made a blameworthy, basic, everyday mistake from a slip or a lapse or something that is, I keep trying to do the wrong way. 4 things. It's unintentional, it's humbling, it's observable, and it creates a hardship. So I'll leave that up for a moment. And I'd like to invite you to think for a moment in your own life, maybe in the last 12 months, how many of those have you personally experienced or committed? I invite you to put your answer in chat. Was it A, none? You've had no uh-ohs in the past year. B, 1 to 4. C, 5 to 8. D, 9 to 12. Or E, more than 1 per month. So take a moment and please put in the chat. And there's no music to listen to, so we'll have silence for 30 seconds while you think, and then we'll see it I'll get the answer and I'll share it out with you. All right, Bree, let's turn off the music. It looks like, thank you very much. It looks like all of our answers that were posted are B's and C's. So 100% of us had made at least one, and quite a few have made many more than that, like 5 to 8. So thank you for that. Let's give you some examples now. Part 2 of the book talks about whirlwinds and what we did. We had, in the end, 5 game products sold to the amusement and carnival and party market. The first one we ever made is shown there on the left. That's me getting all wet. Pitch Burst is a dunk tank alternative. You throw a ball, hit a target, and instead of somebody falling into a bucket of 500 gallons of water, a water balloon pops overhead. We did this at a carnival at my sister Linda's house, and it was a big, gigantic hit. So much that we said, hey, we could make this a business. We had made the first one out of wood in our garage, so it worked well, and it was robust that day. So we hired a company to make 100 of them out of wood. And we got a big bank loan and went into production and spent a lot of money on advertising and sold about 60 of them in the first 6 to 12 months. All good, money in the bank, we loved it. But then, we found out the wood is not durable enough for the rental market. And we had complaint call after complaint call after complaint call. In the end, all 60 broke down within 10 uses. So it was a financial disaster. The was when we kept getting all those calls. In the world out there, we call these epic failures. First one shown is Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty at the 2017 Oscars, where they were given the wrong envelope and announced the wrong Best Picture Oscar. They said La La Land was the winner, when in fact Moonlight was the winner. The was when the PricewaterhouseCoopers guy had to come and sheepishly say, sorry, you had the wrong envelope, here's the right one, after millions of people around the world saw them make that mistake. Here is a picture that represents a skydiver who was hired to videotape a student and an instructor jumping out of the plane behind them. So Ivan McGuire in 1988, there were no GoPros to put on his hat. He had a big bulky camera. He was on the plane. They gave each other the thumbs up. He jumped out first, turned on the camera. and the couple jumped out. They pulled their ripcords and their parachutes opened, and Ivan reached for his, which should have been on his belt, and it was not there. He plunged to his death. The uh-oh was the most tragic one in the book. You probably saw this in the news over the past year or two. Red Lobster had a big uh-oh when they changed their ultimate endless shrimp deal from being Mondays or special days only as a loss leader. They decided to drum up business by offering it every day, all the time. The problem was, once it was all the time, they didn't calculate very well the cost of goods on all that shrimp, especially when so many extra gluttons came into the restaurant and ate them dry. So sometimes it cost them more than $20 to actually sell $20 worth of food. So they went bankrupt last year. They're still recovering. And the last one is the Mars Climate Orbiter back in 1999. It had a flawless launch from Cape Canaveral, and it flew 10 months to Mars. It was supposed to rotate around the planet to do studies. And when it reached Mars and they turned on the jets to make it stay in a steady orbit, it crashed to the surface. The uh-oh was that the satellite was gone, and they learned that two vendors, Jet Propulsion Labs and Lockheed Martin, they used two different measuring systems so that when they were around Mars, it didn't talk to itself the right way. One used meters and millimeters. The other used feet and inches. And so the distance measurements were all screwed up. Big uh-oh. So another chance to think, and we'll give you maybe 30 seconds. Maybe if you care to, put in the chat, what was your most recent uh-oh moment? Again, we can have some music. Unless I'm mixing, oh, it's a couple here, okay. Let's pause that, the music, please. I'm reading the chat as well. I see a few people here. One person said they were maybe in the outback because she lives in Australia. Hi, Jackie. She forgot to take food on a day-long hike. Let's put some other ones up there. Thanks. They waited too long to get a financial planner. Thanks, Roz. Double booking a caricature gig. I can't even say the word, Dave. Thanks. I told my boss I was considering looking for other work opportunities and was let go as a result. Oh, Maggie, thanks. One more, maybe. Putting crackers in the fridge. I like that too. There's a couple more in here, and maybe I'll find some. You missed your plane. And maybe one more. Brian, who I used to work with at Bayer. Didn't use Bill on my project earlier. Thanks a lot, Brian. I'm going to go back to the slides. Thank you so much. But what I saw from that and from the ones that are in the book, they can happen to anybody, anywhere, anytime, especially if you're just not paying attention. And the book is designed to help you pay more attention. And there is a simple solution, but it's easier said than done. I boiled it down to 4 or 5 words. Here it is. To avoid these uh-oh moments, it's all you got to do is think smartly and be more aware. But no matter how good you are, it's really hard to do that all the time. Before I go on to more of the tools of how to do that, let's do another drawing. And this time I'll show you what the prizes. Oh, type uh-oh in the chat and I'll show you the prizes. This time it's an autographed hardcover copy. It's an uh-oh avoidance reminder kit. It's got the pictures of there. A coffee cup, a magnet for your fridge or for your office, some sticky note pads, and a small pad to write things down on. So let's spin the wheel. Oh, no, hold on. The other one is the Uh-Oh-ology newsletter subscription. Each month I'll be highlighting a recent thing that's been in the news that illustrates an uh-oh and what lessons we can draw from it using those tools, and also some tips on staying sharp and thinking smartly and being more aware. Oh, wait a minute. Everybody can get that free. All you have to do, and I'll remind you at the end, is to sign up to the email list, and you'll be on that for free. So really the prizes are number 1 and number 2. Let's spin the wheel. Kathleen Luber, my sister, congratulations. Kathy, I have your address. Just email me, please, at that address and let me know which of those prizes you would like. All right, let's take down the winner. There we go. This is the construct of the 10 tools for, I call it goof-proofing your business. In the center, we see think smartly and being more aware. And the tools I'm giving are about being aware of yourself, being aware of opportunities within your business to be smarter, within your customers, and with the external world. There's no time now to go through all 10, but I can share with you that the tools on yourself, one is called Look in the Mirror, and the other is another way of asking yourself questions to keep yourself sharp. Around your business, there's instructions on how to do a pre-mortem, how to reframe a question to use new perspectives. There's using checklists, and there's leveraging your business plan. In the external world, there's being a watcher or a student of others' mistakes. I call that uh-oh-ology. And there's asking experts and business mentors and other observers to help you with your challenges and to stay sharp. And those on your customers, these are tricks I learned at Bear. You can map your customer's experience, and of course, you can test and learn propositions before you get in trouble. In the next few minutes, I'd like to take you through 2 of these. One is the uh-oh-ology, and then the other is Look in the Mirror. On uh-oh-ology, first thing is to learning about somebody else's mistake, whether it's in the newspaper, online, or in a book like uh-oh, as a gift, because there's magic in there for you if you look at it the right way. The 2 steps are observe and understand. You want to know what was the original intent? What was the mistake maker trying to achieve? How did it happen? What was the root cause? And what was the lasting result of what happened to that company or that person? Then with that in your notes or in your mind, you go and think and apply. You ask yourself, what can I learn from the original intent before this mistake or failure happened? Which conditions that I studied in this instance could happen in my business? What about this blunder is analogous to what my company does? Nobody is jumping out of planes, but what about forgetting an important step? That could be very dangerous. Once you realize that, what signals should you look for that could be warnings for you? And what steps can you take now to avoid those kind of problems? I'm talking all these times about companies and businesses, but these apply as well to individuals. If you learn about another individual, you can apply it to yourself. So using the same 5 examples, I've summarized some of the observe and understand and think and apply lessons. On the pitch burst one, of course, it was a great execution, if I say so myself, but the execution sucked. It led to getting returns and refunds and losing money. So the generic application of this is to always understand and deliver only what's fit for purpose. I put that in quote. The materials are right, the approach is right, understanding your customer is right. In the case of the Oscars, of course, it was the wrong envelope, and then the live worldwide embarrassment. And the learning for everybody or for your own company could be to understand and ensure process quality and accuracy at every step. I'd add to that, if there's people in the public eye, create opportunities for them to stop and ask questions rather than to move forward with wrong information. We've talked about Ivan McGuire, who fell to his death. You might ask, because nobody's jumping out of planes, hopefully, but you might ask which of our key program steps in your company, in your life, if skipped even once, could really hurt you. In the case of Red Lobster, of course, they had more gluttons and bad math, and they didn't check their math as they went along, so they lost $11 million in one of the quarters of 2023 and then file bankruptcy. Here, the universal lessons may be to test first to understand the potential response to an offer and adjust in real time as you learn. So in a business, in a project personally, you don't have to commit to it all the way. Just do enough to learn upfront and then adjust. And then lastly, nobody's flying to Mars, but they had a catastrophic crash because of different measurement metrics. It's the same lesson as the other one, to understand and ensure process quality and accuracy at every step. And I would add, if you're depending on vendors who have to work together, ensure that they talk to each other to ensure they're talking the same language, that you don't get surprised 10 months later. We'll answer some questions later. So the second of the two tools I'd like to take you through is called Look in the Mirror. And this one's universally applicable because it's individualized. This has you look at yourself to understand what are the conditions or causes which most often cause you to make those, what did we say, B and C, 5 to 6 mistakes in a year. The steps are pretty simple, and the book takes you through it. First, you list on the right side of a page all the causes that could happen, and this is from academia that I pulled it out, and it's on page 253 of the book. Then you list in columns to the left of that, just name with a headline the 3 blunders you care most about or that you made most recently. And then once you've got that laid out with lines, put check marks to identify for number 1, what were the causes. This one was lack of sleep, mental stress, et cetera, et cetera. The second one was different. It was really about mental stress and overconfidence and other things. And the third one was different from that. It had 2 checks in overconfidence. So once you've done that with 2, 3, or 4 blunders, you can then circle where there are commonalities and patterns and take a look. This person, this hypothetical person, was really suffering from mental stress and strain often enough that it affected their sharpness, and they were overconfident quite often. The book actually goes into what solutions can help you. It has some, it's not therapeutic, but it's good suggestions on what first steps you might take once you've identified your most likely causes. Another good piece of news, this exact tool called Look in the Mirror is in the extract that's available for free from my website at that address. I called it Why the F Did I Do That? But it's a 10-minute self-assessment, kind of like I just described. That same blank worksheets for that are in the workbook that comes, that you can download once you have the book, also from my website. So those are two pretty cool tools to work with. There are 8 others. Part 5 of the book talks about what do you do when these things happen to you. Again, I'm not going to go in detail, but you have 5 choices whenever an uh-oh moment comes across. First, of course, is to accept, learn, and move on. And I love what conductor Ben Zander says. If you make a mistake, he was talking to violinists, you just put your arms up and say, how fascinating. That insight changed my life, by the way. Or you can try to fix it. You get to the bottom, see what the problem was, and adjust and fix it. Or you can pivot. You can determine that the course you were taking was not right, so you're going to take the same assets and go in a different direction, hopefully with better results. Or you can quit. It's not, people don't like quitters, but in fact, sometimes quitting is the smart thing to do. I can tell you that from experience. We did 5 games. If I quit after 1, I'd be a richer guy today from money standpoint, not from experience. And you can also ignore it. Those are the 5 directions you can take. I'll cross out ignore because it generally is never the right solution. So you're talking about these 4. The book goes into some of the background of what those choices are and what you can do about them. And it includes some creative tools you can use to work on a fix or work on a pivot. Let's go into our prize drawing number 3. Type uh-oh it again, and I'll show you what those prizes will be. Now it's one or the other of the hardcover or paperback, your choice. It's the uh-oh avoidance reminder kit, or It's the autographed can of SpaghettiOs. Let's spin the wheel. Chris Luber. Thank you for joining us, Chris. And congratulations. I think I have your address, but please email me and tell me which prize you would like. Thank you very much. Let's move on. Oh, we're already into questions and answers. Glenn, it appears we're a little bit ahead of schedule, and that's fine. It gives us plenty of time for Q&A.
Oh, I think, Bill, we're right on time. We are right on time. So I'm going to ask Bill a few questions that we've discussed in advance, but if you have questions for Bill, please type them in the chat and we'll get to them. Bill, I'm just curious about why this book now? What in your life led you to say, I want to put this all down in a book?
Well, I know that I learned so much from my own Whirlwinds Games business, the good and the bad. And I'm thinking I had a lot of tools that I've used in my workshops, and I begin to think maybe they can help each other. Here's what kind of mistakes people can make, and mine are just examples. And here's how you might not do those. And then when I began working with mentees or small businesses over the past couple of years of my SCORE mentoring assignments, I realized, boy, these guys could probably use this, because I didn't have that benefit when I was starting out in my side gig. I was always well structured in my bear gig, but not in the side gig.
I like what you said earlier about looking at hardship as a gift, but I don't think that's probably how you immediately felt about your Whirlwinds adventure. I'm wondering about that sort of chapter, part 2 of the book, the memoir section. It must have been tough to live through. And was it tough to write about? What was sort of the journey that you had with claiming the uh-ohs in your life and sort of making them the gift that they are?
Again, I'm thinking, yeah, my own. When you're going through one of these things, and it's OS asterisk 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 or worse than that, when you realize it's there. And we were deep in debt with a bank a couple of different times. It was about just surviving that and reaching for resources, including SCORE at one point. How might we get out of this? How can we solve this? And sometimes the answers came, and sometimes we just gutted through it. But when it comes time to looking at others' mistakes as a gift, that's about deducing, trying to empathize with the experience of the sufferer first, and then actually thinking, how might this apply to me? And I thought that was a big aha for me, that they can be put to benefit. Then when I went back to write my own Whirlwinds experience, I was able to see it as a benefit. And Jackie Lane, my coach, my book coach, who got me started in this writing, she saw my first beginning of a draft, and suggested that I put in not only what are the uh-ohs, but what were the realizations after the fact that I could or would have done if I could. So in the book, it not only tells the story and points out the uh-ohs, it also points out the missed opportunities, the unconsidered decisions that might have helped me escape from that or learn from that and move on in a better shape. Thank you, Jackie.
Your friend Jackie Lane asks, when does hope stop being the action plan and you have to front up and make hard decisions? I think she's asking about this moment where you have to sort of take a deep breath and say, here's where we are. What are we going to do?
Yeah, we're all big kids, and we make our own decisions and live by the outcomes. So some of them you learn and you get stung by making hopefully a small mistake so that you can be smarter next time. Hope should not be an action plan anytime, by the way, other than to inspire you and help you with your visioning. But when it comes down to nuts and bolts in a business, what am I going to create? What am I going to sell? How am I going to sell it? How will I invest? And how will I know if I'm succeeding or not? All of that's part of a business plan. That's part of any good business structure. I note in the book that I've met several small business people in my SCORE work that didn't have a business plan. So one of the first things we do together is, even if it's a cursory structural one, what do you see? All those same questions. What are you going to put together? How are you going to make money? Who's going to buy it and why? If you don't know those things before you start, you're asking for trouble.
I remember in reading the book, you were talking about, oh, we should have stopped there, but we were moving so fast, and we kept moving fast, and so we went on to the next game, and then you kind of push your business plan aside. Is that true? That you sort of like lost track of your business plan?
Guilty. Yes, we had a brilliant business plan that convinced a bank to give us $94,000.
Yeah,
and then when the wooden pitch first scrapped out, we'd spent all the money on production and marketing. We had no money left. So we went deeper into credit cards. We extended the credit line. So it was a tough time.
Your partner in this adventure, Janet, types in the chat, look how much you learned, in quotes. What does that mean to you?
When you look at the dedication in my book, the first part is to the dreamers out there who are doing everything they can. I won't read it, Glenn. I'll just talk about it. They're the brave ones. They're the bold ones, taking chances. But the second paragraph of my dedication is to my mom, because she was with us all the way as we lost our shirts. Things fell apart and we got yelled at. Spent many nights and weekends doing it. And my parents lived on Long Island. We went out to see them, and my dad would say, it'll be okay, Bill, it'll be okay. But Mom says, but you've learned so much. Well, the benefit of that is now in a book called Uh-Oh.
There's a question from another Holsten, Maggie Holsten. What advice would you give to someone who's thinking of starting their own business for the first time? How would you know if their idea might be a profitable one?
Well, first advice is to think it through. Think first of, if you're starting with a product idea, expose it, even a rough form, a Frankenstein form, to some people who would be your target audience. You want to understand the motivations of the people you want to sell to. Why would this product make any difference to them? Part of it is selling, but the other part is empathizing and understand their experience when they're choosing products or services in your field. Understand them first. Then it's iterative. You go back and forth to make sure your idea as you express it fits. In the book, there's a tool called Test and Learn, which is all about that. By the way, each of the tools is not only described, here's what you should do. There is typically a worksheet or a table you can work on. And then it's hypotheticals because I made it up, but a very relevant example of that tool put into work. And the one that's about Test and Learn covers dog poop, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, you can read that one. Linda Schwartz asks, what did you learn from writing this book? Besides your time and efforts, did it cost you money to write this book?
I learned about myself and my own motivations and my own thinking style. So there was a lot there. I think I told you when getting ready for this, Glenn, I was worried I'd be looked at as a stupid person for continuing to make what looked like the same mistakes over and over again. So there's a catharsis to get it on paper. So I learned a lot about myself. I learned about business. I think I'm a better mentor to SCORE clients because of what I learned going through this myself. Not only the business successes and mistakes, but then expressing them. I know one of the tools is leverage your business plan. I put that together with those guys in mind. Mm-hmm. Because everybody should have one. Besides time and efforts, did it cost you money to write this? Yes. When I was no longer in the game business where it was capital equipment, I had to finance with bank loans. I figured I just can write. Writing is free. But in fact, unless you have a publisher, and I don't, this is all self-published, you do have to pay for editing, book coaches, book design, the cover design, and then you have to pay for the marketing, which is part of what we're doing now.
there's a couple of great questions, but I did want to also just ask something that dawned on me while you were talking about all those other uh-oh moments from other people. Did it make you feel less like? Did it make you feel connected to like the people make mistakes? And this is. Did you have an aha moment about how this uh-oh part of your life could become the seed for this book?
Actually, yes, Andy. The realization that uh-oh was a thing was when I did research. I read dozens of books on the topic of failure, on the topic of human error, to really understand the dynamics, and I understood myself better. But many of the books that are about key business mistakes entrepreneurs make and things like that, they focus on where entrepreneurs run out of cash. They have fights with their partners. Turns out their product was not right. All of those are actually very strategic, intentional things they do that don't work out. The uh-oh is differentiated in that even while you're doing those intentional things and know exactly what you want to do, you can still screw up, and you don't want to screw up. And I didn't see much in the literature or in practice about not screwing up. I shouldn't say it that way. Having these uh-ohs or F's, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk moments.
You funk up.
Yes, shut the front door.
So Julie asks, do you have a favorite chapter of the book, Bill?
I'm going to read from my conclusion in a little while. When I got to put together, at the end of chapter 2, of course, that's the closest to my heart. At the end of chapter 2, I do, what is it called? The summary of learnings from the Whirlwinds days. And then I summarize the entire book in the conclusion. The most insightful for me was putting together the tools, because they didn't exist that way before to help. I'm calling them my mentees, the people I'm helping in small business. They didn't exist. You had to look for those. And what I was attempting to do is to bring to small businesses and startups some of the tools I used all the time in my big company corporate life, translated in a way that makes more sense for somebody to do themselves on their kitchen table, or their partners, the three of them in the garage where they're manufacturing something. So I'm proud of chapter 4, part 4, but I like them all.
Dave says, again, do you regret breaking those eggs considering the current costs? That's a tough question, Dave.
Yeah. Well, I saw Dave last week. He's talking about the ones here. Yeah.
Okay.
This is an older picture of cheap eggs.
And when you talked about those tools, Bill, but Rosa asks, what's your favorite tool? There's 10 of them, right?
There are 10. My favorite is the one with the look in the mirror. That's an original. It's non-scientific, so don't think it's from a bunch of psychologists. It's a practical self-analysis tool, and I learned about a lot by doing it myself. I happen to not listen very well, and I know Janet, my wife, will agree with me. Once I'm on a mission, I'm going down that path, and it's kind of hard to stop me, even if it means spending too much money or those kinds of things. So I like the self-analysis tool. I also thought that the other tool we talked about for a moment, uh-ohology, finding value and lessons from others' mistakes, is unique and learnable. Of the other tools I used in my design thinking days in my corporate life, we did map your customer's experience, and that was so enlightening to see from the customer side before you even try selling to them, to understand them. And I think in the tools in the books, I laid it out pretty well so you can do it as a do-it-yourself.
Marissa Walter asks, do you have any advice on how to efficiently grow a business or adding an employee for someone who's fairly new to being an entrepreneur?
Interesting. At Whirlwinds, our business plan in the beginning said, and when we succeed, we'll hire a bunch of people so I can just be the boss and they'll do the work. If you read the book, you know we didn't succeed at that, and we never hired anybody except some people, and some of my family came along to trade shows as hourly helpers, but we didn't have employees. Marissa, I can't answer that clearly, but I can point you after this to SCORE resources on HR management for tiny businesses to know how to do that in a smart way. Clearly, you want to have a plan. What is the person going to do? What the responsibility is going to be? Who am I looking for? And then there's the recruiting part of being very smart about that. And then there's the HR side of treating them fairly and motivating them to do their best work. I'll follow up with you, Marissa.
Michael asks, do you think it's important to have a financial partner with a startup?
That's one of the partners. Yes is the answer, Mike. I had bankers who were my partners who in the when was this? The early part of Whirlwinds in the 2000s, before the financial crisis, were trying to give away money. That's the period when they were always sending free credit cards in the mail and everything else. And credit was cheap and it was easy to do. Yes is the answer. And one of my coworkers, I won't name him, Mike, was a very valuable financial foil for me to go back and forth when I was struggling with finances. That person really helped a lot.
There's a lot of nice things about that everyone should be reading this book. But Kim asks, what is your next project after promoting this book? Do you have the next thing teed up, or are you immersed in this?
I'm immersed. Today we sent out a press release, and it's going to be known more. I hope I'll be on podcasts and doing the promotion stuff that's typical for a book launch. But later this year, I hope to translate the book's success to do speaking engagements, to be hired to do consulting or workshopping with small companies or even big companies, to embed these 10 tools so companies can actually goof-proof their own people and their own businesses. So the near-term vision this year is to translate it from just the writing to a small business. I'm retired, but I'll do it because it's fun.
And here's something that should make you feel good. Catherine says, this book should be required reading for everyone who starts a business. It's not only insightful, it's a roadmap for success in a startup. Was that your goal?
Yes. I struggled when I started writing the Whirlwind story and collecting the Oscars and the other screw-ups and things like that, because that in itself wasn't something I would buy. That because it didn't give a benefit. So the aha came when I began to translate that as, so what do you do about that? And in that, yes, Catherine, thank you. And I'd love it to be required reading. It does feel like a roadmap to success. A roadmap to non-failure. Because you still have to have the right strategy and do the right things.
Right. Did you and Janet have conversations while you were writing this book? Like, oh, if we only had gone this way, did you have woulda, coulda, shoulda thoughts?
Nearly every day, especially when times got tough. At one point, we were deep in debt and didn't know the way out. We could not see it. And that we write about in part 2. That's what led us to, we need another game because the next one will be the big winner. And it just didn't work out that way. We needed to think differently. Some other options written about in the book is, at what point, looking backwards, would it have been smart to have assets that had some value that we could have sold off to another party? Or in the beginning, when we had the game idea and proved to ourselves at a carnival, this is valuable. Instead of trying to make it ourselves, we did patent it. We could have licensed the patent to a company who was already good at that and then sit back and take royalties. Those are the coulda, woulda, shoulda things. And we write in the book, these are things to think about with your company. You face these things all the time.
And Janet adds, you had 2 young kids, so life was full.
Yes. And I had a job where I was traveling all over the world a lot, which added to the challenge.
Right. Well, I think, first of all, congratulations on the book. Congratulations on making it happen and sharing, turning the hardship into a gift for all of us. I think that's pretty amazing that you've been able to do that. And I hope that you continue to, these mistakes or these moments continue to fuel positive things in your life.
Thank you so much. I'm turning my page because I'm going to read from the book.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. We'll say thank you to Glenn before we hang up, but there's a couple things to do. Any final questions?
Well, there's good comments, Bill. I'll say I love your honesty in this book, which is what I like. And then Michael says you'll be an excellent motivational speaker to help business owners. I mean, it's definitely going to be something that's going to help people, and that's a great way to be in the world.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, everybody. Now, it's when I've been to author kickoff things in the past, I've always had the author always reads something. So this is from my conclusion, and I'll try to make it on the screen as well. Reflecting on my experience, this won't take long. Reflecting on my experiences, I'd like to share some lasting lessons and advice for aspiring entrepreneurs. 1, always have a dream. Keeping your vision alive fuels your passion and excitement. Give it your all. Pursue your dreams with excellence, even if your strategies evolve over time. Use everything you know, from all of your career experiences to others' expertise and advice, to push your dreams forward. Of course, embrace mistakes. Mistakes are part of the learning process, but focus on intelligent and praiseworthy risks. Experiment, test, and learn while minimizing those blameworthy blunders. Think smartly and be more aware. While it may sound clunky, this phrase captures the essence of how to avoid moments and goof-proof your business. Know your own tendencies and take proactive steps to protect yourself and your business from them. And lastly, manage expectations. It's unrealistic to expect, even reading this book and using the 10 tools provided, that it can fully eliminate every chance of making blunders. But hopefully, some of the examples, lessons, and tools will help you reduce their number and severity and help you build some level of useful vigilance going forward. Remember the fate of parachutist Ivan McGuire. Never forget your most essential, however routine steps. Those are some thoughts. Now I'd like to conclude by asking you to do a few things. The first one you don't have to do, but I'm going to tell you how to do it if you want to. That is to buy. Everything's available on my website, williamholsten.com. And if you want to, click on the book tab or /book. Tell others. From this hour, you probably learned something about what's in the book, enough that when you come across somebody who's starting a business, struggling with making those damn mistakes, recommend it. They can get that free download for free just by going to the website and clicking on contact. Post a review. Those of you who finished reading the book, or those who are about to finish reading the book, here's how I'd like to, if you can, please post a review on Amazon. To go and find this book on Amazon, go to Amazon.com, but don't look for because is also the title of 20 children's books. Look for my name, William Holsten, and the book will come up. And then when you go through the book, when you click on that, you'll see the book and its description. Scroll quite a bit far down to where the customer review section is and click write a customer review. And then you can subscribe. My monthly newsletter comes out later this month. It'll have some new My favorite one the past week was Philadelphia's mayor who couldn't spell the Eagles at a rally before the Super Bowl. That was kind of fun. I already wrote about that on LinkedIn, so I won't do that one. But there'll be others. It'll be, here's an example. Here's some lessons to learn from it. And then here's some others tips from my tool set that can help any small business. That was my ask. It looks like Glenn might have a couple more questions.
Yeah. So, Bill, I was just curious if unintended mistakes like the ones you write about, are they always so catastrophic? Are they really a problem?
No. The mayor's making a goof at a conference. No, they can be embarrassing. They can be expensive, and many of mine were, and they can be catastrophic. And you can't know until you're doing it. One example I give in the book is if your company's running out of money and you're going to close because you didn't have enough money, that is an unfortunate result of something intentional or some circumstances you don't control. But if you had the cash in your hand and you lost it on the way to the bank, and then you couldn't pay your payroll, and then you went out of business, that's an uh-oh. So no, they can be just simply, you can get away with them and never be embarrassed, but you know you did it.
Yeah.
Or you get caught and you get embarrassed, or down the scale, worse.
You know, a lot of my uh-oh moments are like, oh, I was just working too fast, like typing real fast and like words are out, and you're going back and you read an email that you sent, and you thought, oh my goodness, that's all gobbledygook. Are your tools geared to sort of changing behaviors like that?
It's yes is the answer, but it is up to you to apply them. And that's why we give examples of one individual or one company that use it this way. But throughout the book, parts 2 and 3, and through the tools, it suggests, think about this when you next are going about that. But it is up to the individual to apply the lessons.
So that takes time to stop and sort of not just keep moving, just stop and reflect on what you're...
Pausing to think is always a good idea.
Yeah. And Bill, about the process of researching the book, where did you do all your research, and what kind of learnings did you make? What was that experience like for you?
Researching, besides my own experience, it was a lot of library work. It was listening to the people I counsel as a mentor. It was when I am sitting watching TV, the Ivan McGuire parachutist came up on the Dan Aykroyd show, Unbelievable. That's where I first saw it. Then I would go and Google it and find out all the facts. So I found that once I had that lens on, everything clicked and made sense, and I became looking for that. When I was inventing games, I'd be out looking for new games, and I would make it out of ketchup at a restaurant because I was thinking, oh, that's it. So it's putting on the uh-oh-ology lens, I didn't call it that then, to use a filter to everyday life.
And in addition to the uh-oh moments, there must have been joyful moments in this whole adventure, especially the whirlwinds thing. Talk about that part.
Absolutely. There's a large theme park company in Florida I can't really name for secrecy agreements. They put pitch burst in every one of their resorts, and every day they would drag it out and let the kids play by the poolside. Going down to see that happen and be delighted by it was a heartwarming experience every time. And just watching people just have joy from it and have my customers call back, this was so fantastic. There were many, many, many good things. I learned so much.
That's right.
I think we're about out of time. Does anybody have any other questions? Otherwise, we'll both thank you, Glenn, for being with us. Thank you to my family, my friends, my former coworkers, my accountant, my book coach, all the people who showed up today. I really appreciate you spending the time with us. And Bree Sherry from Protagonist Event has been our producer. It went flawlessly, Bree. Thank you so much for the behind-the-scenes work. To everybody else, I say thank you for now. Please think about the book and tell somebody about it.
Congrats, Bill.
Thank you. Bye-bye.